think the first thing to understand about first ladies and trying to lead a normal life is that all of a sudden they're thrust into this very public position, and most all of them will tell you they're not prepared for it. And so I think the one thing that they try and do initially is hold on to what they enjoy doing and start making their way in Washington that way. Dolly Madison is such an interesting and terrific character to look at when we examine the role of First Ladies on the social scene. And she really occupied, for over 50 years, she was the social hostess of Washington. You know, she had the experience of having worked in a boarding house in Philadelphia. She sort of understood working the crowd and meeting people and talking to people and understanding their background. And, you know, she brought that social skill with her to Washington. Jacqueline Kennedy, of course, she enjoyed her time out of the limelight, and she would, you know, often was known for, you know, accepting or at least having on her schedule invitations, and then at the last minute decide, I don't want to do that. And this is where the wife of the vice president, Lady Bird Johnson, you know, stepped in. But Mrs. Kennedy liked her private time. She loved her horses. She went out to Middleburg a lot. And she also obviously brought a pony to the White House, Macaroni, which her daughter would ride. That was important, that time away, that time of travel that she had with her sister, which was a trip that she took over, remember, to Asia, to India, to Pakistan. Again, iconic images from that, but things that she did out of the White House.
Hello, this is Hillary Clinton. I want to thank you for letting me speak with you about an issue that is central to our children's future and critical in our fight to restore this nation's economy, solving our nation's health care crisis.
Well, when Mrs. Clinton was in the White House as First Lady, again, the early, you know, years did have some difficulties. The entrance into the domestic public policy arena with health care was difficult. But nonetheless, you know, she made her mark in something that she cared about. There was, you know, took a step back from that. It began to be more engaged on the global front, but also during her time in the White House, began to write books and wrote books about being the traditional hostess of the White House, which is a role that is not to be diminished in the role of the president's spouse, because it is important. You are setting a standard for how visitors to the White House, both foreign and domestic, are treated. And so that was a popular book. She also wrote, you know, her book, It Takes a Village, which in her official portrait at the White House, which is there for perpetuity, she is standing there in her blue pantsuit, with her hand on a table, and It Takes a Village. That book is there because it was written during her time. Well, when Laura Bush came into the White House again, she was very lucky to have had at least some knowledge of what the White House life was like and how you work with the resident staff, and knowing that there were rooms there that she could decorate for her girls so that they would have a sanctuary. You know, creating that sanctuary for family life, particularly when you live above the store, is so important because the presidency never has a vacation. Laura Bush loved the outdoors. She loves to walk, she loves to hike, she's a bird watcher. And she loves the national parks, and had the same group of girlfriends that for years, and still do, would get together and go to a national park for a week in the summer, and that was her rejuvenation time. And then also used that personal connection with the outdoors and her love of it, and became chair of the National Park Foundation. So also traveled the country during her time as First Lady to really promote the national parks and use her background as an educator to bring it home to younger children and really understand what's at their doorstep.